Now then, campers. Feels like I've not seen you for ages. Hope you are all well and had yourselves a fabulous weekend full of action, adventure, and hopefully a bit of downtime with the family. It's Andy here, of course, with another Ask Andy Anything. Tonight, endorsing very clearly 100words.org.au, Mate to Mate. It's a fabulous, fabulous Melbourne-based mental health charity. Get around it if you can. Gang, how was everybody's weekend? I hope you had yourselves a good one, in all seriousness. Of course, as always, I want to know how you guys have gone out of 10. Share with me your success stories. Share with me all of the wins that you've had in the comments section below. Post your scores for me as well so I can see how everybody is tracking. Hopefully nice and square. My friends, it's been an interesting few days, right? We've got the REIV auction comp tomorrow. So I've been doing lots and lots and lots of card counting, which sounds really, really boring and a little bit illegal if I was in a casino, but thankfully they're all closed. Yes, I've been doing lots of card counting, lots of number work and whatnot. Hopefully we'll get to, make a little bit of a dent in the competition tomorrow. I doubt it. There's some really cool people that are up for that are giving it a crack this year. So fingers crossed, we'll see how we go. But all the best, firstly, before I crack on, all the best of luck to everybody that is rocking in the auction comp for the REIV tomorrow. It is all online, right? So look, hats off to the REIV for putting the competition together, even though we can't do it in person as we would normally do traditionally. But they've come up with a cool little format. It's going to work really well. Even if there is a glitch or two, who cares, man? The fact that the effort's there is amazing. But hopefully we should have some fun tomorrow. So thank you so much to the REIV for putting on an auction comp for us real geeks that just want to get involved in some way, shape or form. And I've seen some auctions getting booked in as well. So we're getting closer, gang. We are getting closer. Oh, I just hope things don't change this weekend. But if they don't, we'll be back out. We'll be free, wielding the gavel all around Melbourne. I really can't wait, if you can't tell. I am desperate to go and call some auction action in some way, shape or form. Now, gang, like I said, post your comments, post your questions in the comment section below. Let us know if you do have any challenges that have come from the weekend. More than happy to talk through them live on air, just so that you guys can get a feel for what my sort of off the top of my head sort of thinking is, so it doesn't feel too staged or anything like that. I've had a number of questions that have come through over the course of the last few days. There's one that I'm going to tackle though, which sort of I want to break a bit of common language that gets used around the traps, and I'm one of them, right? I've used the language as well. Break something around appraisals and long-term appraisals, long-term potential clients and whatnot. So I'll have a chat about that. Firstly, as we do on a Monday, let us go around the grounds and we'll put up the results from last week's action in the little ticker thing at the bottom there. So just so that you can have a look to see how it's going around all of the states around Australia. And look, on the whole, it's been going very, very well. It's not been going too badly at all. Volume of action that's been going on private sales-wise in Victoria has started to creep up towards 4 figures. 73% of 33 results is pretty good. New South Wales still holding very, very firm in the mid-70s there. And 1,412, slightly lower sales rate there. Queensland still over 1,000 sales, which is great. Western Australia tipped over 600 for the first time in a while, which is good. ACT, 88%, man. You guys are just killing it. Tassie sticking around the 1.5 type mark, 158 private sales. They have got the only 100% clearance rate in the country as a state from the one auction that they did. But that doesn't matter. They still got to convert that one. So well done to them. Northern Territory, ticking along. I mean, it's an interesting one. I had Matt LaHood on Property TV's Property Line, which aired. I had my debut tonight at 7 p.m., which was really, really cool. And Matt gave us a really good insight from around the grounds, because obviously Matt's being the CEO of the agency, has got a finger in all of the various state pies, and so has a good handle on what's happening where and what have you. So really interesting to hear his thoughts on it. If you haven't seen the episode so far, I'm really grateful, right? It's had almost 6,000 views already, which is wicked. So if you haven't seen it, head over to propertytv.io and you'll see that interview in full. It lasts around about 23, 24 minutes or something like that. And every single minute is worth listening to, mainly because he just takes center stage. And why wouldn't he? I mean, he is in this sort of, real sort of top table type carry on when it comes to our profession. So thank you so much to Matt in advance for being my first guest. Next week, I've got Rick Rushton. Jeez, the big guns just keep coming. So I'm really pumped about that. Should be looking forward to it. But yeah, I'll leave those sales results along the bottom there, just so you can have a bit of a feel for what's going on around the country for yourselves. Getting more important, right? As more and more people are starting to hop into states, it's becoming quite a trend. So you might want to get around some of these interstate results, just so that you've got even just a bit of an idea as to what's rocking and rolling. All right, now we're going to tackle this question, which has been asked of us by a couple of people, because lots of calls getting made, which is really, really good. But a lot of prospects that aren't planning on now doing anything for 12 months. They've had all their plans scuppered, and so they need to perhaps wait for the year to sort of come full circle before they can action anything again, right? Which is understandable when you think a lot of people do base a lot of their decisions on sort of time of the year, so calendar year. So if they can't do anything, if they haven't been able to do it, or if it's a financial year thing even, then they might wait till the following financial year before they can crack on with anything. So I'm getting a number of people, a number of clients of mine that are asking how I can best handle cold appraisals. And it's that word cold appraisals that is getting used quite a lot. Now, gang, I reckon that's probably part of our problem. We're referring to them as cold appraisals, i.e. they are not likely to transact in the near future. Therefore, I'm going to be treating them cold. I'm going to be working in a cold way towards them almost. Basically, a lot of what we do and how we do it is based around the language that we use when we're talking about it. It's massive, right? And it's something I've only really, truly honed in on this over the last 12 months with my own sort of internal dialogues and whatnot. It's so critical how you talk about your actions and things that you are about to do with respect to how you're going to end up doing them. So for these listing presentations, these appraisals that you are getting, where they're saying, we're not looking at doing anything for at least 12 months, we just want to get an idea with everything that's gone on. One, you can understand that they want to do that, right? Because the market's been so up and down, it's crazy. And it's going to continue to do that for a while. But the other thing is, and this is one thing we all know, is that a lot of the time, some of their cards are kept a little bit closer to their chest than what they first let on, right? So we need to try and first off get rid of the term cold appraisal. I used it for years, and so I'm not saying that I'm not guilty of this. I was guilty of it for a long, long time. But in essence, gang, we're going, whether they say they're ready to go now or whether they say that they were going to be ready to go in 12 months, we're still going to want stock in 12 months' time. So they are well worth talking to. Now, here's the kicker, right? Because obviously you will have a much more intensive amount of time with the people that are looking to transact in the short term, in the not too distant future. But you've still got to give them the courtesy of your knowledge and your awareness and all of those things, and making sure that you do it in a personable way. See, what a lot of people do with these cold appraisals, if they're saying they're not doing anything for 12 months, a lot of the time, and especially at the minute with a lot more private inspections taking up a lot more of our time, right? When time is a bit more precious, a lot of these cold appraisals are turned into a bit of a process whereby they get a CMA that you print off or whatever, a price finder equivalent or whatever it is, and they get that email to them, and then maybe a phone call afterwards just to see if they have any questions. Now, gang, I get that we haven't got all of the time in the world, especially if you're an agent that hasn't got an admin assistant or a PA of any sort of description. Okay, I can understand why you want to do that from a time-saving point of view. But let us hold on to a few of the lessons that we have been smashed through with COVID, right? Let's have a think about how we can use the virtual appraisal to really create a much better connection with these long-term prospects and set them on a path to success that goes via yourself and your services. So obviously, if you do these cold appraisals, and this also applies to people that go out to all these cold appraisals knowing full well, right, that it's not going to transact in anything, or having that sort of belief that it's not likely to transact in anything. Because if you go into it thinking that, then you may as well not turn up. But you'll still end up spending an hour or something, or you'll end up getting. They're generally the ones where you'll digress, right? And you'll end up talking about all sorts of crap for God knows how long. And you just end up going into that sort of train of thought, which is no good for anybody. Have a think about how much time that you could save, whilst at the same time creating a genuine connection that is going to last you through until such time that they are ready. The virtual appraisal for these long-term prospects is the perfect way to go. At the end of the day, gang, if those people are saying, look, we're not going to be doing anything for at least 12 months, okay, great. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, instead of me coming around and boring you to tears with all the stuff that is probably not going to be relevant for you in 12 months' time, like types, best way to market, best strategy, and all that sort of stuff, how about we do a virtual appraisal where you can run me around the house, show me anything that you're thinking about maybe changing, and then we talk about general market conditions and how they can relate to you right now. I could give you a ballpark in terms of price by doing that virtual inspection as well. But all up, it should probably only take about 20 minutes for us to go through that. And then you will still have the chance to ask me any questions that you have. That, for me, is a much more condensed, concentrated, thought about process, other than just pinging out CMAs left, right, and center and just hoping that they're going to come back to you at some point, right? If you do that, you're just going to give them a layer of your personality without going into too much detail, but it also allows you to qualify them properly. Instead of just assuming or sending the CMA and calling them up, seeing if they have any questions, getting that bit of a personal contact gives you an opportunity to actually qualify these people. And how you do that is to say, look, unless what we're talking about is making you sort of want to perhaps maybe rethink when you're thinking about doing this, I won't bother going through the marketing, because chances are the market conditions and all of the advances in technology that are coming through like all the time, it might mean that we want to be going a different route with our marketing and with our strategy. Depending on what it is that you want to achieve and where the market's at and where the buyer levels are at, that will all be determined much closer to the time that you're ready to go on the market. And if they turn around to you and say, well, what about, can you just go through it now, like just in case? Okay, no problem. Let's have a quick chat through it. Let's go through it in a little bit more detail, because then you'll get to genuinely qualify them and actually get in a genuine, authentic, easy conversation. They may well be more inclined to open up to you and say, well, look, we're saying 12 months, but it might be 6, if we can find the right one. Okay, all right, the ball is definitely growing in momentum. Okay, so have a think about getting rid of this word cold and setting up a structure involving virtual appraisals for your long-term prospects. Gang, I just couldn't emphasize how important that is for you, because we're all going to need stock in 12 months' time, right? And if you want to advance your careers, especially if you are flying solo right now and you want to get to that point, as within 12 months, so by that 12-month period when they do come onto the market, if you want to be in that position of where you've grown to the point where you need a PA, you are going to need this stock that is long-term in order to cover for the PA expenses. All right. So I would highly, highly recommend that you look at doing virtual appraisals with a set structure around them for your long-term prospects. Get rid of the term cold appraisal. It will make you treat it like a cold, worthless appraisal. But a long-term prospect is a much more proactive way about thinking about these people. All right, gang, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm going to keep it nice and short and sweet because I've got a bit of a comp to go just check myself over and get a decent, nice kip. But if you do have any questions, feel free to shoot me a DM via Facebook or LinkedIn, or you can put a comment in any of the videos any of these live videos that you're seeing. And as always, you can send me an SMS to 0451 085 998. Now, gang, I think it's safe to say, and this is just one final point, I think it's safe to say that Ask Andy has kind of served its purpose, okay? The reason why I did it is because the original reason why I did it is because I wanted to maintain a level of connection amongst our community while it was sort of in probably one of its darkest patches it's seen for a long, long time. As people now have got back into the game and back into the workforce and all those sorts of things, right? I think that it's about time that, not that I draw this to a close, but I think it's time that I reined it in a little bit. One, I don't want to annoy you lot as much as what potentially could have been doing, but also, you guys are up and running again. So I think what I will be doing is perhaps going back to my Silver Linings channel, because there is still a massive mental health and society issue around society with things like domestic violence and real mental, real sort of psychological and society-based issues that are perhaps much better served over on the Silver Linings show. So I probably will be broadcasting that again in the not too distant future. But this show will happen on my business page, the Andy Reid business page, okay? So if you do have any questions, I'll still be running them, but I'll probably just be running them a couple of times a week. So I'll save up your questions and then we'll be able to fire off a whole bunch in one big go. All right then, gang. But if anyone is to the contrary and thinks that this is worthwhile doing every night, let me know. And if I get enough of you saying that, then I'll keep doing it. But you can always see me on Property TV from now on at 7 o'clock on Property Line, where I'll have guests every single week talking about all the latest news and views and current affairs within real estate. And then I'm always around, gang. So if you need me, you can always holler and just ask me a question on the fly anyway. All right, my friends, thank you so much for all of your support across Ask Andy as we've been doing it every single night. It is so greatly appreciated, and hopefully it's brought some of you a degree of value. But we, as of tonight, I think we'll be bringing the nightly thing to a close, and we'll bring it to more of an every other day or an every couple of days type scenario. All right, gang. You guys take care. Look after yourselves, all right? Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. And if you're struggling with any of those three, give me a shout. All right, gang, take it easy.